My name is Joanne Chet. I'm a professor at the School of Public Health, the Mailman School here at Columbia, and I'm the director of the Health and Human Rights program at the school. I want to applaud your attention to human rights, even though it's not your field, and I appreciate very much the issues that you're struggling with. I guess I have a number of concerns, and some of them are going to make me sound like a Luddite, I guess, but what about the human right to decline this kind of augmentation, or to see this kind of augmentation as actually a diminution of human dignity? So that's one issue, but it concerns me a lot that we've struggled very hard, partly using the Disability Convention, which I would really look to in your case much more than the Universal Declaration. But anyway, using the Disability Convention, survivors of mental health abuse in health systems have really rallied around the idea that a lot of the problem with human rights unfriendly approaches to mental wellness is that there's been too much reduction of mental wellness to brain function and neurons, rather than looking at social determinants of mental wellness. And the UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Health, who recently finished his term, Danius Pouras, has written brilliantly on this subject. And it concerns me a little bit that I understand the many ways in which this kind of technology can improve human dignity, but that we not sort of reinforce the approach to mental wellness and mental dignity and the agency of people who have mental health concerns by a sort of reductionist approach.
Yeah. I think first, the way that we would think as a group through this issue of consent for mental augmentation is essentially the same way that applying the medical model that you would think about consent for a medical procedure. So you can always decline it. So it's not, but it should be under the assumption of justice and fairness, so that the decision to who gets augmented or not is not one taken by the person, but by an independent body, just like it happens with organ donations and transplantations or medical devices, or like the vaccine, for example, today with COVID, that is independent, that has the justice and fairness as its core value. And they're the ones who make the decision. And if the resources are limited, they're the ones who prioritize the outlay of application of these technologies. So if you think like that, then you can imagine that a device that could lead to mental augmentation, the non-invasive BCI, would be first offered maybe to patients that need it, people that actually need to be mentally augmented, and not to the population in general. But then once it's available for the population in general, then you could always have again, this is again, it's your right. You can take your own life too. I mean, it's your right to live, no? But it's not forced, no? I think also with so this is a little bit how I would think about that problem. Just put in your medical hat, which you have, and think, well, maybe that could be one way that this type of long history and tradition and chiseled procedures that we have inherited from previous generations had to deal with these difficult ethical issues in the clinic. And I was there too when I trained life and death decisions. So those are actually now can have a wider application, and this new technology that no one knew it could emerge, that could change the human condition. So so that are sort of my thoughts on the issue with respect to restricting the definition of mental health to, if I understand you correctly, to strictly biological approach that could be that could have problems because it will not capture the richness or the sources of causes and actions that you could have if you consider mental health more comprehensively. I don't see how this approach would be restrictive. This is just one approach. It doesn't mean that all mental disease, all neurological disease should land in the neurotechnology field. It's just, this is going to be an important field that could revolutionize neurology and psychiatry. But of course, that doesn't speak to the other things that are going on, and most of them are very valuable and should continue to be. No, so I don't think it's actually it's in opposition to the contrary. This will be synergistic with other things that could be done.